So there are people right now, not in this audience, and I know it's not this audience, but there are people who will hear what you just said and then say, but so what? What's that got to do with me? How does that help me?
Doesn't cutting the budget leave more money for the rest of our important things?
Yeah. I mean, why are we, and this is the term, wasting money on going to another planet or getting to Mars or looking at exoplanets, all this stuff that you guys do? You're wasting money. We could be using that money for something else. That's the argument that you hear most commonly against spending money for something like NASA.
So I always like to put this in context, right? And I know Neil has said this very eloquently before, but NASA is just this tiny, tiny fraction. So if you want priorities, most of the money the U.S. government spends is on healthcare, national defense, and support and social support, right? So Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, military, all that stuff. It's vast. 3/4 of all spending is that. And then NASA is this your little sliver, less than 0.5%. And then of NASA, right? 1/3 of NASA roughly goes to science. So you're talking about 1/3 of less than 0.5%, like 0.1% of every tax dollar, right? You're talking about fractional pennies at this point. So it's not a lot, right? In the scope of when you're spending $6 trillion, right? This is akin to, we spend more money on pet food in this country than we do on sending things into space for scientific reasons, right? We can afford this. We can walk and chew.
We can afford this, and yet there is a movement to not even spend this money. Right?
Correct. There's an overall desire to kind of cut without really consideration of what does that mean more broadly.